Ah, it worked. Hooray. That's amazing. I love when then technology does the thing it's supposed to do for you.
We're
So
fingers crossed that happens all day today.
yes, yes. Oh, okay, everybody's signing in. Okay, so we will kick it off. So welcome everyone. I'm Heather McManus from the Designers Collaborative. You are joining us for another webinar with Sandra Funk. This is how to become completely irresistible to your ideal clients. I love this so much because this is step one. This is like when you lock this one down, the other steps will fall in place. But if you didn't have the ideal client locked down, then all the other steps are kind of useless in some ways. I mean, they will help you, but this is number one. So Sandra has invested decades working to perfect her business and now shares her secrets with other designers in the interior design standard. So this is a turnkey solution for designers. It brings balance, joy, and profitability. You know, I love that. To your design business with the interior design standard. So thank you, Sandra, for creating that and sharing such a wonderful, like, turnkey, just easy button, go ahead and press it, and all the things kind of make so much more sense rather than struggling for years. So thank you for joining us, everybody. And I'm gonna mute myself and we're gonna turn it over to Sandra and her team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you always for having me. It is such a pleasure. As you may know, we share the aligned mission of wanting to see designers be more profitable, run better businesses, just do well, be well. And so whenever I can work with the Designers Collaborative, it is a true joy and an honor. You just saw Lydia zip off the screen. She is part of Team House of Funk, and she is going to be curating questions as we go. So if you have questions along the way, comments, thoughts, whatever, feel free to drop those into the chat. I'm going to do Q&A at the end, so stick with me all the way through, and we will address your business questions then. Okay, everyone, cross your fingers. I am going to attempt to use technology. Did that work, y'all? Are you seeing my screen? All right, you're gonna have to yell at me if you can't see it. Does that sound good? All right, here we go. I'm just gonna check the chat and make sure you got me. Okay, good. There we go. All righty. Let's go. I am Sandra Funk, and this is how to become completely irresistible to your ideal clients. Again, in collaboration with the Designers Collaborative. What we're talking about today is really setting up your firm to be so good, right, that you start to create buzz in your town, in your market, in your niche, wherever you exist, right? We really want your shit to be together, right? We want you to have your stuff so tight that it just creates this momentum, right? You want to be the design firm to work with in your market. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's dig in, shall we? And again, thank you so much, Heather, and the whole TDC team for having me. It is always my honor to be here. I'm just checking that chat to make sure you guys can see me. Good, you got it? Everything is good? Cool. You guys are gonna let me know if something weird is happening. Okay, so I wanna know in the chat, how would your life transform if your business was full of joy and profit? Yeah? Isn't that why we went into business in the beginning, right? We set out to work for ourselves because we wanna create our own schedule. We want to work in our own aesthetic. We want to enjoy the beautiful, creative endeavor that is design, right? But on our own terms. So what if your business was actually full of that joy you sought out for and incredible profit as well? Good shit. Yeah. Okay. So profit and joy together, both are attainable by pricing your project strategically, having refined systems, and creating an exceptional client experience. And that's really what we're going to focus on today, is the exceptional client experience, the buzzworthy experience that gets them talking and telling the story and makes their ideal client friends, family members, etc., start to all line up to work with your firm, right? Once you understand these principles, everything shifts. So how you run your firm now isn't how you'll run your firm for your next wave of clients. Okay, we're going to really talk through some big shifts in how you're thinking to make sure that you are just knocking their socks off. Today, I'm going to share my key strategies for creating a memorable client experience. I'm going to show you those strategies in action. I'm going to share how you can catapult this process forward quicker in your firm. And to workshop your business, drop your questions into the chat as we go. We're going to do a big Q&A at the end. All right, because you are here with me, I have a bonus. You need to stay till the end. I'm going to share with you how you can get your hands on a custom brand audit. Okay, this is me personally assessing your website and your Instagram. So like a little snip of your brand online, right? And I'm going to give you some insights and tips, strategies on how you can create a stronger online presence, right? How you can be stronger in your brand. I am interacting with amazing, incredible interior designers all the time. And I see some pitfalls out there, right? I see some moments where you're not present enough in your marketing, or you're not clear enough with who you serve. And those I love to dig in and to really help you understand. It's so hard to see ourselves from ourselves, right? It's so good to get another set of eyes. And so this has been an incredible value to designers, and it could be yours. You have to stay with me to the end to find out how. Okay, you registered for this workshop to level up, so you owe yourself to do just that. Grab your notebook, turn your phone on silent, get a snack, a drink, whatever it is that you need, and come back to me and stay totally focused. Multitasking, we know, is completely inefficient, so don't do a disservice to the work that you think you need to work on, or to the fact that you signed up for this. Let's be present. Let's be fully in this. I'm pulling back the curtain and sharing exactly how I broke into the luxury market, and I think this would help you as well. So before we dig into the details, I have a quick win for you. I want to show you how you can, an exercise that you can use to immediately, after this workshop, you're having a successful firm starts with signing the right clients. So I'm going to share with you my method to immediately increase your dream client closing rate, right? We have those meetings with those dream clients, but we need to actually close that sale. And this is how I do it. So the first step in this is you're going to brainstorm. You're going to map out the phases of your process, add in the most important information from your design agreement. And in this, you're going to make sure that you are brainstorming all the expectations that you have for your clients and all the boundaries that you want to create. So expectations might be that all decision makers attend all meetings. Boundaries might be that there's one round of revisions per design meeting. Whatever those are for you, this is where we want to make sure that we're saying all of that important information all the way up front with your ideal clients before they sign on and become clients. Next, you're going to capture all of those details. So you're going to outline their future experience as your client. Okay, let me say that again. You're going to outline their future experience as your client. And you're going to communicate the design agreement details. Here you want to include all the important points from your agreement in an elegant, clear, and organized manner without having to read your entire design agreement to the client or expecting that they will read it on their own. I have been in this situation so many times where I've given them my design agreement and they say, yes, we're going to read it. And then 2 months later, they have no idea what I'm talking about when I'm reiterating a boundary or an expectation that was coming from that agreement. Because at the end of the day, they are busy. They are hiring you because they need this taken off of their plate. It is really rare for someone who's not a lawyer to read that agreement fully and completely digest it. And then you have to ask yourself, is a lawyer your ideal client? They may be, they may not be. You do you. All right. And then, of course, the next step in this is make it pretty, right? We are designers. That is our goal in life, to bring beauty to all that we touch. So turn this into an incredible slideshow that merges your killer portfolio, all of your beautiful images, with exactly what it's like to work with your firm. Okay? we're really walking them through the experience that they're going to have of working with us while doing it in a very conversational manner, pointing out boundaries and expectations. So I would love to hear in the chat, how many of you already use a potential client presentation? Just give me a hell yeah. All right, cool. So why does this work? Showing your process instills trust, okay? When we show them that this is not just willy-nilly off the cuff by the seat of our pants, we have a process, and that ensures trust. That shows them that we are an expert and that we are an entrepreneur, not a hobbyist, okay? Also, once they're your client, they are a dream because you've set those expectations and created those boundaries. They know how to be a good client because you've told them. Yeah. Also, you guys, when we tell them how to be an ideal client before we sign them, there's not that awkward, agitated, confrontational like conversation of like, hey, I saw you texted me on Saturday at 6 a.m. and I just wanted to sit it down, talk it through. That's inappropriate, right? That's not how we will communicate. We will communicate between Monday and Friday at business hours via these modes of communication, et cetera, et cetera. I'm saying it like it's all smooth and pretty, but that can be very confrontational. It can be very difficult to have those conversations unless we've already talked that through, our communication style preferences, expectations, etc. Then we're simply saying, oh, just a reminder, as we discussed and agreed upon earlier, we don't do text messages on the weekends, but we will, let's move this conversation to email and I'll talk to you on Monday morning at 8 a.m. Yeah. Okay. When we talk about it first, it's so easy to just reference back to it. But if we bury it in a 14-page agreement that we hope they're going to read, we have no basis to go back to. We have to start fresh with those difficult conversations. Okay. The last reason that this works so well is that those ideal clients that you are hoping to sign are visualizing their new reality while you're walking them through the process. First, we're going to go through, we're going to meet at your home and I'm going to do this large, beautiful intake. Next, we're going to come back to my office. I'm going to do this beautiful conceptual design presentation. Then, right? You are walking them through. They are envisioning working with you. When we do that, you guys, that is law of attraction 101. What we visualize, we attract, okay? So when you say to them at the end of that presentation, I'd love to work with you. Here's the agreement. Let's sign here. This is the amount of deposit I need to take. Let's make that sale happen. It is so much easier for you to get a yes out of them if they've already been visualizing being your client. Make sense? Awesome. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me. If you don't know, I started out knowing I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what kind of entrepreneur I wanted to be. So I got a finance degree from Michigan State University, my hometown university, and knew that at least I'd know how to handle the money, right? When I figured out what I wanted to be when I grow up. Then when I graduated, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went into business process consulting, which is basically helping Fortune 500 companies like Scythe Energies and GE Capital become more efficient and more profitable. An amazing place to be for someone who knows they want to eventually run their own business. Be there, think tanking, learning strategically how to help other businesses. It helps me run my business better. And of course, it's why I'm here talking to all of you. I love helping people run better businesses. It's just in my DNA. When I was a business consultant, it was all the rage to do web usability, right? I'm dating myself. There was a .com crash. This is before then, which at the time, it was so early in web usability that there weren't even classes to take on it. So I had training because I was working for a top 5 consulting firm in New York City, but they also suggested that we take design classes, color theory, workflow, all the kind of design things that lead to good websites, right? So I started studying design at Parsons in New York City, and I fell completely in love with design, left my beautiful consulting career, and started working for other designers and working in the industry. I started my own firm, House of Funk, in 2005. I built a beautiful team, had a great little studio, and built a 7-figure business. And I'm honored to be featured in national publications like AD Pro and Elle Decor. So if you build it, they will come. We built it and we turned it into an incredible design studio. And I couldn't do any of that without my family. I met my husband Jay in college. He was in town playing lacrosse for Michigan State, originally from Boston. We followed our careers to New York City and stayed in that area for about 20 years. We recently moved to Tennessee with our 2 teen daughters, a dog, and a horse. And today you'll find me sharing all the lessons I've learned and how I grew my business at national design events and workshops just like this. Like I said, spreading the vernacular of how to run an incredible business, how to still maintain a life, how to be profitable, how to have that joy is literally in my bones, and I love doing it. You'll also find me empowering and educating design entrepreneurs with the Interior Design Standard. This is my design program. It's all about the business of interior design. It's a template, the business backbone that helps over 750 members across 17 countries run badass businesses. And this is a picture of me at the last high point with about 60 of my closest friends in the standard. So as a business strategist, designers come to me when they've completed some incredible projects, determine they're meant to be a design entrepreneur, and realize that they're ready to take their career to the next level. Anybody out there thinking, yes, I'd like to take my career to the next level? Can I get a heck yeah? Thank you. After our work together, they're able to only work with dream clients, work on fewer, larger projects, and confidently step into a career intentionally filled with abundance, balance, and joy. Oh, I went too far. So tell me if this sounds like you. You guys, I really want you to come back to me and get in this chat. I want to start having questions. I want to hear from you, okay? Does this sound like you? You're ready to shift from taking on every project that comes your way to only working with those ideal clients. Can I get a yes? That's me. I'm on. Yes, thank you guys. Appreciate that. Okay, you're looking to switch from hustle, hustle, hustle to working smarter and making more. Are we looking for efficiency and profit? Also a beautiful thing. And are you ready to stop wondering if you're doing it right to having unwavering certainty? I know I had a ton of, am I doing this right early in my design career? It was a lot of winging it and trying it. Okay, so if you're ready to quiet the people pleaser within and hand a megaphone to your inner business badass, I'm here for that, right? It's all about being a badass entrepreneur. Okay, I feel you. I was all of those things and so much more early in my career. I have been there. All right, let's dig in. So again, early in my career, I was not ready for my ideal clients, you guys. I wasn't getting consistent referrals, and I wasn't preparing my clients for success with my firm. I wasn't setting those expectations and boundaries, right? Then I learned that you can be completely irresistible to your dream clients. And you guys, would being completely irresistible to your dream clients help your business? Right? Just imagine, like, you get to pick your ideal clients out of the lineup that's lined around the block just waiting to work with you. It's the dream. So how you're going to do that is create an exceptional client experience, right? Like we talked about, an experience so memorable that they can't help speak your name to their friends, to their families, share it on social media, give you the amazing reviews. This is how we get that buzz going to make sure that you have tons and tons of potential clients, of which you can pick out the dream ones. So how? We're going to provide clear and consistent communication to our clients throughout every project. It is so baseline important, and you'd be surprised how many designers aren't doing it as a matter of course. Okay. And then we're going to implement processes and systems that take your clients' feelings into consideration. So we want to make sure that our processes are always thought through from this perspective of how is this going to land with my most cherished client, right? Anything that you do, every single interaction that happens in your firm with a client, you want to make sure that you are literally putting yourself in your client's shoes and thinking, how is this landing for them? How are they feeling about this? Yeah. So from the clear and consistent communication, I don't just communicate a lot to my clients, because what that can look like is overload and then they turn off, right? They kind of go numb to your emails. Instead, I send one email that encapsulates all of the information for the week every single Friday without fail. From the day they sign on as my client to the day that I send them that like final photo, thank you at the end, right? So crazy important to bring that level of consistency and to not inundate them with too much communication. There is the right amount. We always want to be in their shoes. How many emails do I want to read a week from one person that I'm doing business with? One is the right number, right? Of course, there's going to be times when you're like, hey, we had to cancel a thing or we have to reschedule a thing. And there's going to be like an extra one-off email in that case where it really can't wait until Friday. But this one thing can really systematize and just clean up your communication. So speaking of clients' feelings that we're always taking into account, I want to share with you a slide that I present in the sales presentation that I told you about earlier, that quick win. This is one of my favorite slides in my presentation. This is the emotional timeline of a design project. And again, really about putting yourself in your client's shoes and understanding what a design project might feel like to them. Okay, in this, if you guys want to take a screenshot, this would be a great time to do it. I'm just going to run you through this super duper quick, but we start out with a potential client, right? They have a need. They have a problem that you solve, right? They don't come to you like, I'm perfect, I'm fixed, I don't need anything. No, they have something going on where they need you. So then their emotions go up as they hire you. They found you, it's a fit. Yay, they're so excited, right? And then they realize they have to wait probably a couple of months for the conceptual design meeting, right? It takes time to do the intake, to do the measurements, to do the concepts, to pull the budget together and present the conceptual design. Then we're at that conceptual design meeting. Everyone is so stinking excited to see the big vision come to life, right? We're on a high, it's a yay. And then we have to wait again for detailed design. That's when we're pulling all those proposals together, every fabric and finish sample we can get our hands on, right? Waiting, waiting, waiting. And then detailed design meeting, they are over the freaking moon. They get to see all the individual little items that are going to go into their room, touch the fabric, see the samples, right? It's a big yay. Then here comes the hard part, y'all. We take all their money, trash their house, and make them really wait a good long time when we go into purchasing and execution, right? We want all of our payment for our purchasing, and all that work starts to happen in the household. It always gets worse before it gets better. So just remember, guys, this is a tough time. If you look at the chart, they're even further down emotionally than where they started, right? Because it has to get a little worse before it gets better. And when we tell our clients this and we walk them through this with humor and a little bit of lightness, right? When they're in this place of spent a lot of money, waiting, and my house looks worse than it did before I met you, you can remind them, bring this slide back and say, I know we talked about it and you probably just think, well, that's not going to happen for me, but we're in the shit. Like we're in the bottom. This is the hard part. And it does end, right? And then installations start happening and we're making so much progress and we are like coming up from the depths of the ashes. And then we have a punch list. And if we don't let our clients know that punch lists happen to everyone, that it's not a curse. I literally had a potential or a client tell me that they think they were cursed because they had this punch list. And I was like, I did not set expectations properly with this. Like, I need to really point out that punch lists happen to everyone and that it is not a curse, right? Yeah. So the punch list and then final delivery, photography, every little detail is gorgeous and their home is, photographed for posterity. So that is an incredible explanation of what it's like to put yourself in your client's shoes, right? To really understand what it might feel like to be working through a design project. Yeah, does that make sense, you guys? Okay. Next, understand like processes and communication, baseline stuff that you have to do. Setting expectations, understanding their emotions, putting yourself in their shoes, that's like another level. And then we get to the highest level of creating an incredible client experience, which is surprise and delight. So again, baseline communication processes, mid-tier is understanding them, putting yourself in their shoes, understanding their emotions. And now we take it all the way up to the fun stuff. So putting yourself in your client's shoes to ensure that they're receiving a 5-star experience. And I'm going to tell you my purple flower story. So I am standing in a potential client's front foyer at the end of a beautiful meeting. They've walked me around the house, learned about the stuff, right? And this sweetheart little tiny fairy child zips into the room all sparkly and fabulous in her little purple fairy dress. And I was like, oh my goodness, your dress is fantastic. What a cutie. And she's like, thank you very much. I am wearing this to my 5th birthday party tomorrow, right here at home. And, I'm turning 5. So excited, so excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Okay, goodbye, 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 right? Like, I'm out of here. Have a great party tomorrow. See you later. Bye. So I get back to the office and I immediately call the most fabulous florist in my neighborhood. And I say, can you please have the most modern, elegant, beautiful purple flowers delivered to this potential client's home tomorrow morning before their house is filled with this amazing purple princess party, right? And I'm not just sending over some purple flowers, I'm sending over purple flowers that hit for the daughter, but that are also in that modern, elegant, refined style that I just spoke to the ideal client about, right? So I'm taking an opportunity to go beyond expectations, beyond what's like standard in our process, to see, oh, they're going to be home tomorrow. They're going to have a house full of people. This little sweetheart loves purple. I'm going to do something fun, unexpected, and delightful, and really capture this potential client's attention. I knew she was interviewing multiple designers. I knew I'd be sending over a thank you and a little something special anyway. So this was just killer. And of course, I got the phone call on Monday morning. Holy moly, what an incredible thing for you to do. Thank you so much. The flowers were absolutely gorgeous. I had them in the middle of the island and it was all anybody could talk about. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yes, we'd like to do the project. Yeah. Does that make sense? Do you guys see how showing off your design skills a little bit in that potential client process is everything from a surprise and delight standpoint? So I'm not just sending flowers. I'm sending flowers that are uniquely tied to them, custom to them. And I'm using my design skills, right? My little design spidey skills to say like, this is who you are and what you tell me you want. This is what your house looks like. And and I'm going to turn it around and give them something really custom and unique that like hits, right? That they're like, oh, she gets us. Like, if you can send a gift before they need to make a decision as a thank you to meeting with a potential client that has them saying to themselves, I feel seen, you're going to get that job. Does that make sense, you guys? This is really the big moment here, is take those little opportunities. And then throughout the project, you are always continuously selling yourself, right? You're always making sure that your clients feel beloved and taken care of, surprised and delighted. So keep those moments coming. All right, and now I want to see a little example of this in action. One of my fabulous standard designers, Julianne, went from doubt to clarity. So Julianne started her business in 2016. She adores creating personalized, no-nonsense homes for her clients, but she found herself second-guessing everything. She was full of doubt. She couldn't charge those prices. She couldn't get a client to approve an entire design presentation. She couldn't present just one design per space, right? So Julianne and her clients were both exhausted by her uncertainty. There had to be a better way. You guys ever been there where you're putting together a proposal, you're questioning your own prices, you're double checking, you're almost like negotiating yourself down before you even get to the thing. You're not presenting like a full design and asking for the sale. You're tiptoeing in with options and different things. And at the end of the day, you guys, you've been hired to be the expert that does know what it should be. And I have found so much more of an incredible client experience when you come in with one truly fleshed out, incredible design instead of a whole bunch of little options, because they know they have options. They're looking for you to put together something magnificent. So then Julianne implemented my exceptional experience for her clients. She incorporated excellent communication, strategic pricing, and stopped treating every project like a unique snowflake, even though I like the unique snowflakes, by implementing one proven process. Julianne and her clients are loving all the clarity. So Julianne said, now that I know I can create one incredible design with a single round of revisions, I'm finding that the jobs are being purchased in full with almost no changes. You guys, do you see how her coming in as the expert is giving those clients the confidence that they desire, because they want an expert to come in and say, this is how this should go down, instead of, or like this, maybe this, I don't know, thoughts, questions, right? They want your confidence. They want your, I know what's up. Julianne needed to stop second guessing herself. She got that and the process to create amazing designs, make more money, and impress her clients. Again, she's doing better design work because she's just doing one design, fully fleshed out, presented at one time, right? And she's able to, instead of doing a whole bunch of little versions, she's able to put her blood, sweat, and tears into one design. So her designs are getting better. She's becoming much more efficient. It's quicker, right, to do one really fully beautiful design than a whole bunch of options. Her clients are impressed. They're speaking her name. They're moving through the process. They're loving it. It's good all around. So once you implement an exceptional client experience, you'll figure out exactly what your client wants so you can meet and exceed their needs. Again, baseline, mid-tier, surprise and delight, right? Come all the way through that spectrum. You'll be prepared for your ideal client. I think that's one of the most important things, right? Is to get our design firms into tip-top shape so that if your truly incredible ideal client knocked on the door tomorrow, you're like, cool, I've been waiting for you. Instead of, oh, we were going to up our game on the communication and we were going to get our systems and processes locked down and we were going to upgrade our presentation and how we do this and that, but we've just, it's like a little chicken or the egg. Well, I can tell you one thing for sure, get your firm tight and then get out there with the marketing and get those dream clients coming in. You really don't want to have a dream client come to you, have a bad experience, and then that's the story that goes out, right? You'd rather get your firm in amazing strategic shape and then have those dream clients knocking on your door. Okay, when this happens, you build a pipeline full of raving, referring ideal clients. One gets their socks knocked off, starts having dinner parties, telling their friends. Trust me, this is the referral machine that your firm needs. So are you ready to step into that new reality? One where the client experiences delight your clients, word spreads. You have so many potential clients that you are hand selecting the ones that you want to work with, right? Red flags, no thanks. Not in your area, no thanks. Doesn't have a realistic budget for the kind of scope that's happening, no thanks, right? You get to scale your business. You get to work with dream clients. And this is what joy, balance, and abundance can look like in your firm. So you have two options. Number one, you can hire the experts, figure out the formulas, document, review, and refine all those systems, and implement all those incredible client experiences. Or number two, you can transform your business by implementing my proven method, all templated and ready to drop right into your firm. You can do this on your own, of course, or you can come with me. This is your invitation to join me on the fast track inside the Interior Design Standard. I'm gonna tell you for just a quick minute why I created this standard. So my business was growing. I had that great team, moved into an adorable studio, landing projects and getting press, right? We were rolling. And then I hit my business rock bottom. I had 3 wonderful projects fall apart one after another. You guys, this is why I talk about, I much rather see you get your business in tip-top shape and then turn on the marketing juices than turn on the marketing juices, have amazing clients coming your way, and not have your systems, processing, pricing, experiences under control. So it was time to look within. I was on my way home from speaking at a design conference with my dear friend, Luann Nigera, and that 3rd client called to tell me that they were gonna take it from here. That's, you're fired in designer speak, by the way, when you charge hourly, which I did at the time. And so I'm telling Luann what's going on and I'm just heartbroken. And Luann asks, well, what's the common denominator? She knew that this was the 3rd client that went down like this. And I was like, the common denominator. It's me. I'm like a Taylor Swift song. Hi, I'm the problem, right? It's me. It was me. I didn't have my shit together, as you may know. So I realized I'd clawed my way to my ideal clients, right? I had figured it out, but my business was not ready. What worked with smaller projects did not fly with these larger, big whale, beautiful clients that I had started attracting and losing. Plus, I was letting my clients determine the timelines and the budgets, not me, the expert. They came into my sandbox and they told me how to play. And let me tell you, when you have these big, beautiful, big name clients, big big houses, big budgets, big stuff. It can be really intimidating if you do not have your shit locked down. I apologize about all the swearing today. I'm very feeling it. But if you don't have your stuff tight, you can start to get wiggle woggly and do that whole people pleasing, yes, girl stuff. And it will run you in circles if you haven't already been there. Good for you. I'm very happy for you. But man, is that the not fun place to be. So I actually considered throwing in the towel. I was like, you can just picture me like curled up in a small ball, just like shaking and rocking under my desk, just so sad. I had to let an employee go. I had 3 huge projects fall apart and we just didn't have the workloads to sustain them. I was afraid I couldn't cut it with my ideal clients. I really was questioning everything. I was terrified that my business would fail. And there's a lot of pressure that I was putting on myself too, because I'm a 3rd generation female entrepreneur in my family. And I was not about to be the one who was the one who failed, right? So I had to figure this out. So my quest began. I pulled over for months to workshop my entire business from top to bottom. I hired all the experts, a lawyer, a business consultant, and a mindset coach. And like I said, I was a business consultant. I have a finance degree. And yet I still needed outside eyeballs to help me see what was going on in my firm from an outside perspective. All 3 of these experts I hired were outside of our industry as well. I didn't want to do it the same old way. I wanted to start with a clean sheet of paper and completely transform how I ran an interior design firm. I started with a completely new method, and I then was like, holy moly, it is working. How do I not share this, right? My business transformed to joyful, profitable, and thriving, to a portfolio full of completed projects. Here I am photographing a job with the dear Mark Weinberg, my favorite photographer, and to referrals filling the pipeline, to hand selecting projects, right? Again, the idea that you have so many potential clients calling that you are now picking and choosing who you want to work with instead of, a hope and a prayer that you get this next job, even if it's not ideal. That whole thing switches once you get your business locked down and the word starts to spread that you are really a badass entrepreneur to work with. And my life transformed, right? When our businesses transform to joy, profit, and abundance, our lives transform too. To taking dream vacations, to having time with my daughters and husband, and to feeling confident and successful, right? There is something so heavy about the word success. I remember telling my husband, I just want to be a success. I just want to be a success. And he was like, what does that mean? Oh, what does that mean? I think it means learning to surf in California at Christmas with my family. That's, I think, what that means, right? So like I said, I had figured it out, clean sheet of paper, new method for everything, and I knew I couldn't keep it all to myself. My design besties wanted to know more, but I couldn't give them bits and pieces since it's all threads together. So I created the standard as like the one way that I could really tell the story of how I'm doing it. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what's inside the standard. Sound good? And then we're going to get to Q&A, you guys, I promise. So again, it's an entirely new method to transform your business, from mastering the tech to catapult ahead, to confidently pricing your services for high-end clients. Whole new way to do that. Attract and land ideal clients. Love. Scale with streamlined processes. Processes. Boring as hell, but they will change your life. Improve your buying power and trade relationships. Hello, Heather at TDC. This is literally the same concept, right? Increasing buying power, selling at reasonable retail pricing, and finally, making some freaking money, yeah? And developing your dream team. It takes a village, or it takes a one-woman show, one human show that really has their systems and their processes locked down to be able to do it all on their own. Because I have a lot of standard members who do all by themselves, and quite a few that have great big beautiful teams as well. It runs the gamut. So the standard will allow you to provide clarity with the ultimate design agreement. And Sunita says, my first client after implementing the standard, I had never been more confident in my contract. I had reviewed it with my lawyer and they did not have anything to correct. Can you imagine a lawyer saying, yep, nope, it's perfect. But this is a contract that I've been using for a decade at least. And over 750 designers have all been working on, right? So like the kinks are all out of it. I had no problems taking my client through every clause. Walking in with that contract, I was terrified, I will admit. But once I started talking exactly how you explained, it was amazing. I could not believe it when I walked out with my check in hand. And like I said, Sunita used that potential client presentation where she like really walked through her design agreement, but in a beautiful slideshow kind of way, got all the details in and brought them through the experience. So you'll be able to price your services for profit in minutes before you design anything with the pricing calculator. So Danielle says, I was hesitant to invest in the standard, but I knew it was what I needed to fill the gaps, not only in my business, but in my confidence as a one-woman business owner. The flat fee calculator more or less just made me an additional $40,000. So I can't thank you enough. Thank you, Danielle. All right, so you'll be able to scale and delegate when you take each project through one proven process. There are tons of programs out there promising results, but end up being a bunch of fluff. I can assure you the standard is not that. Sandra shares the exact templates and processes she uses in her business. That's Erin. Thanks, Erin. Okay. You'll be able to provide an excellent client experience with the refined process, client-centric mindset, and pricing that clients adore. So Colleen says, the interior design standard has changed the way I think about the client experience and how I run my design projects from start to finish. I've already shifted how I explain the design process experience to new clients, providing clarity on timelines from the beginning and setting expectations. So Colleen's really talking about like that whole client experience and how much that's changed things for her. You guys, I went through all this so you don't have to. I spent well over $100,000 and months fixing my business, right? The lawyer, the consultant, the coaches, the whole thing, the conferences, the books, all of it. I have the proven process and I've worked out all the kinks, right? Not only do you save the time and money that I spent to develop it, you save the years of trial and error that I went through to get here. So we're better together. So I added a bonus, 3 months inside our members only community. Liz says, the standard has connected me with a wonderful group of designers who I can discuss business with. It's such an amazing community, truly, you guys. Then I brought in the best to share their knowledge and added 4 expert bonus lessons. That's Peter Lang, Jordan Gill, Nicole Heimer, and Luann Nagara. And because I want you to completely catapult ahead, I added yet another bonus, accountability groups. So Danielle says, our accountability group still meets twice a month to connect and share. This is such a huge bonus. It really is. Okay. And then to support you all the way to the finish line, we added 3 community calls. And Elena says, I literally quadrupled my income this year, and I owe it all to you and what you taught me in the standard. Awesome. So here's what you get. 6 standard modules, $34,000 value, members only community, a $3,000 value, those 4 expert lessons, a $4,000 value, the accountability groups, a $1,500 value, and the 3 live community calls, a $2,500 value. And then I was like, what have I done, right? I had the course evaluated to help me price it, and they came back with the number of $45,000. And you guys, I knew I was loading it up with like every single thing that you could possibly need to run an incredible design firm, but I couldn't sell it at $45,000. I had to sell it at $4,499 because this could not be a premium product for the few. This had to be a grossly underpriced premium product for the many, right? I knew I needed this back when I was a few years in business, when I knew enough to know what I needed to know, right? And I couldn't have spent $45,000 on a business program. So again, I had to make this reasonable so that designers really can be a part of this movement, right? The new standards, the new way to run a design firm. And it's risk-free. If you do the work and show me your results and you're still not satisfied, we will give you a full refund. In addition, it's lifetime access. So every 6 months, we have another program where we run the standard. We also make improvements, updates, changes. We flow with the times, right? The pandemic gave us a whole bunch of language around price increases and delays. So it's always evolving, it's always improving. And therefore, I never want you to not be with us in that evolution and in that community. So for the life of the standard, once you are a standard member, you are always a standard member. So you guys, are you a 1 or a 2? Are you a figure it out on your own, or are you a implement a proven method, all templated and ready to drop into your firm? So now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the chat what's going on in your business. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tackle some common questions I get. And Lydia, as soon as you feel like you've got questions, you can pop on and we can start to thread those in. All right. So some of the questions I get: will I make my money back? So I'm not going to read all this to you, but Rebecca from Monarch Lane says the standard has been life-changing. Earned my money back with the first proposal. Lori DeJacum, now I can't say that. Lori says, my business increased significantly more this year compared to last. A large part is because of the standard. Your first client after this will pay for the program. And Heather said, I made my investment back with my first standard project and my clients are loving it. It turns out I did read them all to you guys. Sorry. All right. Does the standard include marketing techniques? So while we don't specifically cover marketing like as a separate module, we do talk about how to get your firm dream client ready. So everything we talked about today, we go like 10 times deeper into that. And of course, all the templates and the exact ways to do it. So again, it's the chicken or the egg. Do you get your firm right and then market? That's how I think it is, right? In my opinion, you get your systems locked down, you get your pricing right, you get yourself all sorts of clear, and then you blow it up with marketing. So Brooke says, I just landed the cover of New Jersey Home Magazine 1 year after taking the standard. Can't thank you enough for supporting women designers and showing others how we can lift each other up. Your program was an amazing mentorship. Amazing. It's paid for itself 10 times over. Amazing. I've heard that more times than I can count, you guys. Will the standard help me get more clients? So Tiffany says, my referrals and repeat clients have doubled since implementing the processes from the standard. You guys, when we run beautiful businesses, we really do have an incredible opportunity to have those repeat clients, to get that referral, to get that buzz going. It is the first step. Will the standard save me time? Hell yes. So Kristen says, since beginning the standard, my stress has been cut in half, and I can actually focus on designing for my clients and marketing to bring in more work. So if this resonates with you, you can reserve your spot at interiordesignstandard.com/TDC. And make sure you use the TDC link because, again, Heather has been so gracious to host us here and to bring us all together. So I do want to make sure that I know where those referrals came from. So, okay, you guys, like I talked about, stay till the end because I've got that custom brand audit. So the first 3 designers who enroll in the standard before this workshop ends, right now today, while we're doing Q&A, will receive a personal custom brand audit from me. Again, that's me looking at your website, looking at your Instagram, and really giving you insights and strategies to make a stronger online presence. This is a $1,300 value. It's a custom, personalized audit, and it is really, really a beautiful thing. Again, like I talk about all the time, it's really hard to see where you can make improvements on yourself. So sometimes getting another set of eyes is hugely important. Okay, custom brand audit, review the website, user experience, review Instagram clarity, a thorough personalized write-up, and that one-on-one attention. All right, Lydia, thank you so much for popping back on. Do we have any questions? And again, I want to hear from you guys on what's going on in your business. And one more shout out to Heather and the entire TDC team. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Sandra. That was so good. We have many questions to get to. So if we don't answer all of them, I'll put the email in the chat and you can ask your question there and we'll be happy to answer it later as well. We'll start with Catherine's question. She said, how to handle a client, or how do you handle a client with unrealistic budget expectations? And if necessary, how do you politely walk away?
Perfect. Okay. So, one of the things that I do is I really am careful I tend to not ask my clients for a budget. Instead, I ask them for the scope of what they want to do, what the project entails, and then I educate them on what an appropriate budget for that scope and size of project would be with my firm at the level of design that I do, right? So I flip the script, right? Instead of what's your budget? Because as we know, it's like hard for a designer to just pull a number out of the sky that's accurate, right? I've created a whole financial calculator to calculate design fees and furnishings investment estimates, like what the budget should be, because it is for me, it was always impossible to just pull it out of thin air. I really wanted to go back to historical data and back to numbers. So if we have a hard time doing it, pulling numbers out of thin air, how in the world could a client do it with any accuracy? We do interior design, builds, renovates, all these things day in, day out for years and years and years. Clients don't, right? At most, they do a project every handful of years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. So to ask a client to give a budget that happens to be accurate and appropriate for the scale of the job is like hysterical, right? That's like asking your husband, like, how much should my dress cost? They don't know, and they shouldn't know. It's not their business. So again, educating them on how much it should cost is like how I spin it and just turn it around. And again, that idea of educating them as the expert instead of asking them for the budget, that little shift, that little pivot, there's like a billion of those inside the standard, because everything that we used to do, because that's how it's always been done, we like removed that expectation and said, well, how could it be done better? A million times, a million ways. And yeah, okay, good luck.
That's great. Belinda asked, does your system use price per square foot to set the fee for projects, or is it based on projection of total time spent plus purchases?
We do use a per square foot calculation, and it's coming from past projects. So I'll have you really looking at what are the projects that you've done that are similar. Like, so if it was a build renovate, or if it was a build from scratch, or if it was a design only, like what category that's in, and then look across past projects and look across square footage. Yeah, so it's really based on historical numbers, but it's a square foot calculation. I have done it literally every way you could ever imagine, pricing projects from hourly to hourly plus to this to that, percentage of budget. Like if it was ever a thing, I've tried it. And really working from historical data, we know that the data doesn't lie, right? But it's a matter of wrangling it, understanding it, and being able to kind of calculate through it. But yeah, per square foot.
Jill asked, how long does all of this take to implement, and how do you use a specific software for the standard to work? Do you need that specific software?
Yep. So I really wanted to build a program that is about the concepts of running an interior design firm and less about on what platform, because I know we all have different things going on, right? We all use different software and systems and things like that. We do deliver the standard on Asana, which is a task management program that I personally am totally in love with. But you can take that, download it, and upload it into any task management software or system, or even an Excel spreadsheet. You can really take it and make it your own. Same thing with everything, all the templates, all the emails, anything that we've request for quote templates, all of it, it's all templated. It's all soft, which means that you can go in, cut and paste it into what, if it's into whatever you want to use. So my whole thing was I didn't want to be constrained to like only this thing or only that thing, but we did need to deliver it for you. So, but everything in the program, you can grab and go, from my contracts to the fee calculators to every single email template, every single business template, all of it is swipeable into whatever program you want to use.
That's great. Thank you for explaining that. Someone asked or said, I'm having a hard time in leveling up my clientele. I feel that it's hard to find them and able to reach them. Does the standard help with this?
Yes, definitely. And like I said, the standard is not a marketing course. It's a course about getting your business tight and right, and getting the clients that are going through to really knock their socks off, to run such a clean, beautiful, efficient, communicative, clear business that just flips the switch on so many little issues that we have with our clients. Like my main goal was like to remove the friction and remove the tension and just put myself ahead of it. So every time something went wrong, I went, okay, we needed to go back and set expectations better. We needed to go fix it. And we would fix it in our process. And then on the next job we worked through, we would do it better and do it better. And it's just been iterative, and it's been improving all the way through. And that is really like our clients just keep coming back and keep sending their friends because they're having a really positive experience. And I think that is your baseline, is getting that right before you turn up the volume on marketing. You know, when you turn up the volume on marketing and that flood finally comes in of potential clients, and you don't knock their socks off, and you don't have your systems locked down and your strategic pricing and clarity and confidence, you can really blow yourself up. It takes a lot longer to recover from bad, you know, chit chat out in the neighborhood than if you just keep it slow and low while you get your stuff together and then really start your marketing later on.
That's great. Someone asked, if you don't have many clients to get history for pricing, how would you calculate fees based on historical data if you don't have a lot of historical data?
Yep. So number one, first things first, start collecting data. So project type, size of project by square feet, total spent on design fees, total spent on budget, right? Start collecting that data now so that you can be projecting in the future. Also, inside the standard, we have case studies to help you see where you might fit in the pricing stratosphere. And also we have an exercise on how you can build a project out so that you can actually come up with your pricing, even if you don't have past data. Like if you are just starting out and have nothing, like we have an exercise of a potential project or sample project that you can do to build that data and to just build the information that's going to go into your pricing calculator out the gate. And then we really walk you through, you know, keep collecting data, keep refining that, keep adding to it, keep checking your averages. And mine, by the time I've, you know, used it for about 1 year, and then all of a sudden it is like laser accurate. It's crazy. Like it is like we giggle at we get to the end of this, like whole, you know, the detailed design project where you're like, this, you know, that sofa and that fabric with those pillows and this end table and that thing. And oh, we got to splurge on this one piece of art. It's so special and blah, 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 right? And we get it all said and done, and we get it all priced up, and we get it all into the program. And at the end of the day, we're like, holy crap, how did that total actually match with the budget that we set? Like, you'd think we made a little splurge here and we did a little thing there, but it's because it comes from data, because we always make a little splurge somewhere and we always have a little savings in this other area. So like it works because it has to work because it comes from reality, right? Our data cannot lie to us. So it's a beautiful thing. One thing about that is when I went from like a lot of decorator art to wanting to have original art, I intentionally went into my calculator and bumped it up by a percentage, right? Now I'm intentionally giving myself more wiggle room in my budgets to add in some more original art. So you can also pull the strings and play with it that way.
I love that. That's great. This will be the last question, and I will put our email again in the chat for everyone to see. If we don't answer your question, please email us because I would love to answer. But the last question is, what is the duration of the standard program? And how do you have any marketing suggestions to help launch awareness?
Mm-hmm. So the program is those 6 modules that I showed you, and it's lifetime access. So for instance, if you are a tiny firm with 1 active client and a ton of time to dedicate to this because you are going to get this right and then you're going to blow up your marketing, then you might implement it very, very quickly, right? You might be like 6 weeks and you're done, ready to go. If you have a big firm with a lot of active clients and a bunch of team members that need to get on board and lots of processes and systems that need to be tweaked and massaged and fixed, may I say, it might take you longer, right? It might be more of a 6-month iteration for you to get through everything and to finish up the projects that are in the queue and start doing new projects with the program. So everyone is different on how quickly they implement. One of the best things you can do when you get in the program is be in an accountability group where you're implementing together. So some of them will meet weekly, some of them will meet monthly, but they're basically like, okay, we're all going to go through all the information in module 1. We're going to read all the stuff. We're going to watch all the videos. We're going to, you know, really digest. And then we're going to get together and talk it through, ask our questions, figure out best practices. And then by the next meeting, we're going to have implemented that. And then we're on to module 2, right? So like just really doing it together and finding the accountability group that's going to be at the pace that you're going at, is key. So yes. And then from a marketing standpoint for blowing it up, that is a whole nother conversation. It's like a whole topic. And I'm trying to be very cognizant of your time. We just hit the 1 hour mark. And so I'm going to leave that one. We are always doing marketing stuff on Design Sips. Design Sips is our YouTube show. We drink a little wine, talk about the business of interior design, and tons and tons and tons of Design Sips episodes on marketing. So if you just put Sandra Funk into YouTube, you will find me. And let me know what you think of all of those. Again, like Lydia said, we love questions. We would love to continue this conversation. We're just going to be respectful of your time and of Heather's gracious invitation for us to be here with you. So we are going to wrap it up now. But again, please submit those questions to us, and we'd love to stay in conversation.
Thank you, Sandra. This was wonderful. This is recorded, so I will be sending it to everyone who registered. I will also pop in there, the link to get into the standard, and Sandra's email. So you'll have all that handy along with the recording.
Amazing. Again, thank you, Heather. So excited, and I will see you in High Point.
Oh, yes, you will. See you then.
All right. Thanks, everyone.